So this one came out of our own problems with fulfillment, and we had products that were literally shipped out with empty boxes. And so what I found out later on was like the 3PL that we're working with. So they're like $600 pocket knives. They pocketed the items and then shipped out an empty box to my customers.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of What's Working in E-Commerce. I'm your host, Eagan Heath. I'm the owner of Caravan Digital. We're a direct-to-consumer e-commerce agency. We help with paid search, paid social, and email marketing. Today, I'm speaking with a very successful e-commerce entrepreneur, Yong-Soo Chung, who has 3 different businesses in the e-commerce space. Yong-Soo, thank you so much for joining us.
Eagan, it's a pleasure. Thanks for inviting me on.
Now, I know you've got a podcast and you guys talk about you are on your way this year to 8 figures. I know you've got them across these different businesses. Tell us a little bit about your journey and these companies.
Yeah, so the 3 businesses, just kind of lay them out for you right from the start, is the first one is a pocket knife business. It's called Urban EDC. So EDC stands for Everyday Carry. The second business is a dog boutique based off of our French bulldog, who gained a following pretty quickly on Instagram. And so that business is called Spotted by Humphrey. And then the final piece is a climate neutral certified 3PL called GrowthJet, which I founded because of my own pain and frustration with the fulfillment space. And so that was my way of kind of solving my own problem. And we've been just moving to a 39,000 square foot warehouse, and we're rolling. So those are the 3 different areas.
Love it. Wow. These are in such different spaces. Maybe we could talk about each one a little bit of, how did you get started? Maybe should we start with the knife one first? Is that how,
Sure.
is that the chronology of it?
Yep.
I'm going to pull up the website too, so people can see it on the YouTube one, but go ahead and just talk us through this. What is the story on this business?
Yeah. So, I was a cryptocurrency engineer. So I was a blockchain engineer in 2014. And so in San Francisco, I joined a startup, and about a year and a half in, I decided to leave that company and start selling pocket knives online, which sounds kind of crazy if you think about it, but yeah, that's kind of I decided that I wanted to do something that I had total control over. So I didn't want to have investors, or I didn't want to have a lot of regulatory risk, just because I was coming out of crypto. And I was kind of sick of all the, the oversight and all that stuff. So launched Urban EDC in October 2015, and it's grown very, very steadily. And it's grown, now I have a team that helps me manage the day-to-day stuff. So for the most part, I actually don't do a lot of the, day-to-day activities on this business now. But it's still growing, it's still going strong, and we have a lot of exciting collaborations this year. So I'm really happy, with the way it's going.
Pretty interesting. Do you guys design these products? Are these in-house? Are you selling other people's? How does this work?
Yeah, so most of the stuff that you're seeing on the website is custom collaboration. So what we do is we would reach out to designers or makers, and then we would do our own version of it. So I'd say 99% of the stuff you see on the website, you will not be able to find them anywhere else. And so we really are emphasizing that. And so, we don't want people to just be able to buy stuff off of, Amazon or whatever. And so we wanted to keep that kind of, the branding of it is very like exclusive, and we want it to feel like you can't find these anywhere else. So.
Yeah, I'm just stunned by this. These are beautiful. Sounds like really specialty pieces. You're kind of collaborating with people to make them, so they're one of a kind in that respect. The design and everything is just beautiful on here. So wow.
Yeah, it's a lot of relationships that we've built over the years with a lot of these makers and designers, and so we're leveraging our audience to bring their work to light. And we're leveraging their audience at the same time to get our word out. And so it's kind of this symbiotic relationship of between makers and ourselves.
And I know one thing you mentioned as we were chatting before is for Urban EDC here, every carry gear, right? Or everyday carry.
Everyday carry. Yep.
Everyday carry. Like, you guys are not able to advertise on Facebook and Instagram with this because it's a knife. Is that correct? How do you handle the marketing and how do you get people to find out about it?
Yeah, so we got banned on Facebook pretty early on in our journey, and so we had to be creative about getting the word out. And so the strategy that worked really well for us is working with other designers and forming a partnership with them. And so what we do is we um, decide on, hey, do you want to showcase your work or whatever, and they'll want to work with us because we're kind of the cool kid on the block. Like they want to be associated with our brand, and so they'll make a batch of gear just for our shop, and then we'll drop them, and then they'll announce it on their Instagram page or whatever, or emailing list saying, hey, these guys have a bunch of my stuff, go check it out. And that way we're kind of like we're able to elevate their brand, but also we're getting traffic from this maker or designer's audience as well. And that's we literally do that every single week. And so the new maker every week, and so that has helped us grow to where it is today.
So you're coming out with products on a regular basis like that, and launching them?
Yeah, exactly.
Every why week, there's so many on here.
Every Wednesday we have a gear drop. So every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Pacific time is when we have our gear drops, and that's when we do our marketing blasts. And we have customers literally setting alarm clocks for that drop because a lot of things will sell out really quickly. And so we see a huge spike on Wednesdays of sales. It's kind of designed to be a little bit like almost like an adrenaline rush. Like you don't want to miss out on that gear that drops, right? So, yeah.
Is there sounds like some scarcity to it as well? Are there only so many of each, or how does that work?
Yep. So it's inherently scarce in terms of the inventory. And so, we do have that aspect of it as well. So it's kind of like these drops that are pretty popular now where, you set a specific time, a drop date, and people just try to go score that item. And if they get it, they get it. But if not, then better luck next time, right? So.
Wow, yeah. What I know you mentioned you guys really have email dialed in. You have a lot going in there with Klaviyo, but I'm trying to even understand even the top of funnel piece. Is it the people making these pieces are kind of artists and artisans, and they already have a following? Is it on Instagram, and then they follow you guys on Instagram? How do people first hear about you? I'm trying to understand that. What's the big channel for top of funnel?
So we started working with a lot of content creators within our niche, everyday carry and the knife community, and so they're also driving a lot of traffic to our website. And so they get, it's an affiliate model, so they get a cut off of the sales that they bring in. So that's been a big one. But like I said, we have a lot of makers that we work with who also drive traffic to our site because they announce it on their own. And so our website traffic has really increased. And if I look at the SEO stuff, like that's also improved over time. But it's not something that we deliberately focus on. It just kind of naturally happens over time. And so our web traffic has really grown over the last 7.5 years or so. And, we really want to get them on our emailing list. Like that is our goal when we get the website traffic. And so, we have a pop-up thing that looks like a spin the wheel game, and we collect the email address. And then from then on, you're in the Klaviyo flows, and we're pretty robust with our Klaviyo flows. So that should, at some point, I mean, it should get our first sale, basically.
Wow, that's great to hear. So it sounds like doing a lot with, sort of influencer marketing or affiliate marketing like that. Any tips you can share? Anything that's worked? It seems like you're in a great niche in terms of people are really into this. They're looking for the new knife to drop. Like it sounds like they own quite a few knives themselves, I'm guessing. So it seems like a great niche, but just any sort of broad generalizations or anything you could share in terms of what works in terms of, influencers and affiliates.
Yeah, I think it's really about building relationships. And so it's about your brand reputation as well. So if you have a strong brand and people you've worked with rave about working with you, then it's really easy to get an introduction to another person that you're trying to reach. And so we've really infiltrated the this area of the internet. And so we have really strong relationships with a bunch of content creators, a bunch of makers, and so we're able to literally just pick one of these guys and say, hey, do you know this guy, or can you make me an intro to this guy? And they're able to do that because they have a great relationship with us. And so we've really built the company based on relationships and just a great customer experience.
Yeah. And in terms of those influencers, I don't know if there's an example you can give, or even just talk us through one of, are they talking about knives and gear like this all the time, or they're kind of covering a broad number of topics and, knives are just one of them?
It really depends on the content creator. There are some creators that are very product specific. So they love geeking out about knives. So they'll take it apart. They'll describe like the different bearings, all that stuff. And so there's that type of content creator. And then there's other ones that are more, more lifestyle. So like, they might be doing something like an activity, and then they happen to have a knife and they'll show it off. So it really depends on the kind of content that a creator will make. But we work with a wide variety of content creators that we think are good fits for our brand. So
yeah, any lessons learned in terms of how to make it win-win? It sounds like really be long-term, think about the relationship. Is it important in terms of the terms of, what kind of cut do they get as an affiliate? What's kind of been important there, and what have been the lessons learned?
Ultimately, it's a win-win if you can work out something where everybody is getting some value, right? So we want access to their audience and expose them to our products, but then at the same time, they also need new products to make new content. And so because we do a gear drop every single week, we can actually ship them new products every week, and they have something to talk about. And so it's really, of course we have the affiliate commissions as well. But it really, the commission is not the entirety of the value that we're exchanging. It's actually about, the cool stuff that they can get. And sometimes we'll, if they really want something, we can send it out to them early, and they can take videos and stuff, and then, they can release it, and that video will get a lot of views because it's like a special item that we did, or whatever. So there's a lot of like levers you can pull to make it a win-win.
Yeah, the marketing is really just gorgeous on the site, the photography and everything. I know you've been building this up over years. Any advice there in terms of where to really invest, or are there areas not to go cheap? It seems like you guys have really nailed design and photography.
Yeah, it's about branding. And so we knew from the start that we wanted to go a little more higher level, because when the company started, when Urban EDC started in 7.5 years ago, it was like the most popular gear for everyday carry at the time were just stuff you pick up of Amazon. And so it'd be like this really cheap, like $15 bottle opener or whatever. And we wanted to move away from that and differentiate ourselves. And so we kind of went a little more high end. And so there's a reason why the shop doesn't, we don't have in the pricing, we don't have cents. So it's like, we don't have like $9.99. It's like $10. Like it's just 10. And so it's because we want to make it feel a little more premium and sophisticated. And so every little decision like that really adds to this feeling that we are a little more of an elevated experience. And so, that's kind of what we're going for.
That's brilliant. Have there been any resources that have really helped you understand brand and how to grow a brand?
No, to be honest with you, I think it's more about, I always approach it from the angle of like, what feelings do you want your customers to have, and what do you stand for, as a brand? And everything else around it kind of has to make sense from that narrative and that, from that angle. And so literally, like, even interactions with customers, like, if you're talking to a customer, we want to uphold a certain type of value, right? So it really is about having strong conviction in the value proposition and just consistently delivering on that. It's everything that you do is branding. And so you have to be really aware of like, first of all, is your brand messaging resonating with your audience. Like maybe they don't, a lot of the people in our industry, they don't want this kind of experience. That's very possible. And so you have to be aware of what type of values that community has, and then see if it resonates. And if it doesn't, then you got to iterate and change it up a little bit. Yeah.
I'm curious on the email marketing piece. I don't know if you have flows in place over and above, kind of what Klaviyo recommends, or has it really been newsletter driven? Talk to us about your email marketing.
Yeah. So we have a gear drop sneak peek email going out every Monday. And so that email is actually not an email designed to generate sales, but it does because we have the recommendations at the bottom of the email. But that email is actually more of like, hey, this is what's coming up on Wednesday. So if you want this, get ready for Wednesday. And so that's our Monday email. And then Wednesday email is our big gear drop email where we, that's what we drive all the sales for. So Wednesday is like a gear drop email. Fridays are a little more fun. And so Fridays are, we do something special where it's like, hey, buy this and get this for whatever off. Like it's a little more creative. And we try to each week we try to think of a creative way to spin it. And so Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, we have broadcast emails going out. Those are the main ones. And then we have the typical ones that your audience probably already knows, like abandoned carts. We have browse abandonment, where if they look at a product and go away, they'll still get an email about it. I think that the thing that we have that's a little different is we really segmented out the customers and the customer journey. And so we have when they join the newsletter, of course, we have a welcome sequence. And then the goal of the welcome sequence for us is to get that first sale. And then just as important as the first sale is probably the second sale, because once you get the second sale, then the chance of them coming back is much, much higher. And so we segment it out so that, we have an entire welcome sequence for anyone who has never purchased. And then we have a sequence for someone who has purchased just once. And so we have an entire sequence for that. And then we have a sequence for someone who's purchased more than once. And so for the more than once one, we know that they're already theoretically loyal customers of ours. And so what we try to do there is we try to get reviews. So we have amazing reviews on Google, for example, because we ask all of our, 2+ order customers to leave a review. And we introduce them to our loyalty program because we know they have enough points now to redeem for a free gift card. And so there's a lot of different mechanisms in play, and the messaging is different for each segment of those types of audiences.
That's great. Can you tell us a bit about how the loyalty program is structured?
Yeah. So we actually have two loyalty programs. One is the main one that 90%, 95% of customers participate in, which is it's pretty simple. So you just get points for each dollar you spend. And we have it so that when you create an account with us, you get $10 gift card almost basically immediately. So any new customer can essentially get a $10 gift card. And that's what we lead with as part of our welcome sequence. So we say, hey, by the way, just go create an account and you have $10 waiting in there. That's kind of the messaging. And so we have gift cards at different stages. So we have a $10 gift card, $25 gift card, $50 gift card. And the discounts get greater and greater as you wait, obviously. So the biggest one is a $250 gift card, which you get if you spend, I believe it's $2,000 with us. And surprisingly, a lot of people reach that actually. And so after that point, so that's kind of our main loyalty program is this gift card thing. And then once you hit $5,000 of lifetime spend with us, which also a lot of people hit, then at that point you get entered into a higher tier VIP loyalty program where you can increase your multiplier for the points. So for example, instead of getting 1 point for each dollar you spend, you get 1.1 points for each dollar you spend. And that is tiered also. So as you go higher and higher, you spend more, then you accelerate your points. And so another thing I should mention, when you hit the 5,000 point, or I guess 5,000 lifetime spend, you actually get entered into this thing called early access. And so I told you earlier about the whole gear drop thing where people set alarms. Well, if you hit 5,000, you get 1 day early access to the gear drop. And so you get to go in there. You don't have to scramble. You have a little bit of a time to go check out what's going on, and that's a huge perk for a lot of customers. And so they want to hit that 5,000 LTV, and so they really work hard at it. And then it can go up to, I think our highest tier is like 50,000, and like 2 customers have hit that. So that's kind of
that's amazing. Wow,
that's crazy. Yeah.
Talk about lifetime customer value. Wow, that's a masterclass right there. I love it. When people join or when they're early on in the process, do they know about everything you just described so they can kind of aspire to reach those other levels?
No, I don't think they would, because we don't want to overwhelm them and say, how am I going to reach 50,000? You know what I mean? So
sure. Okay. But
so
when it happens, they get a message, congratulations, you're at this level now.
So we don't tell them about the loyalty program until they have ordered twice, 2 or more times. Okay. And then we tell them, hey, by the way, you can check your points by clicking on this. And so we educate them more when they hit a higher or like more than 2 purchases. But basically what we're trying to do with the welcome sequence is get that first purchase and say, hey, we say, there's $10 waiting for you. Go create an account. And that actually is the first step to joining the loyalty program, is creating an account. And so we're introducing them, but the goal is to get that first purchase. So we keep it really low, low friction, just easy. Like, here's $10, go spend it. And then later on, we say, hey, by the way, you're part of this rewards program now. So here it is. Here's what to expect. And so we kind of introduce that later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of strong things going on this brand. You've got excellent branding. We've got some, scarcity and urgency on the product. We've got a strong loyalty program. I can really see why this has been successful. It's a great niche. Anything else to add to this of what's really helped for this company?
I do think that we have a really strong reputation within the community. And so that's just about showing up every day and providing great customer experience, just building that reputation. So people, when they talk about us, they love who we are as a brand. And that can go a long way as well because, it's just, we get a lot of referrals as well.
Okay. Amazing what you build. I absolutely love this. Everybody needs to check this out. You could just learn so much from, let's see, this is, Urban EDC supply.com, correct?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Wow. What a great brand. Check them out on Instagram as well. Beautiful content. I love it. Let's turn to the other brand now, spottedbyhumphrey.com. What's the background on this one?
Yeah, so we brought home a French bulldog in 2017 and just started posting photos and videos of our French bulldog. And so what's funny is, so my wife is actually the behind this brand, and she has done a great job with the narrative. And so we incorporate a lot of the products into the videos and the photos that we have. And so his Instagram blew up to across TikTok and Instagram, he has 150,000 followers. And so it's funny, but it's a really, like, I guess, creative way to incorporate what we're the leash and the harnesses. Like, people ask us, like, hey, where do you get that harness? And so instead of like using affiliate Amazon links or whatever, like, we thought, okay, we already have the e-commerce shop. Why not just build an e-commerce shop and lead people to that directly? And so that's kind of what led to Spotted by Humphrey.
Oh, fascinating. So you had a pet influencer in your house, basically, and how do we monetize this account? Let's have products.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty amazing. Is that, the main channel? Is that top of funnel? How do people hear about the brand Spotted by Humphrey?
Yeah, that one is, it's mostly, I guess, Humphrey. And we actually got another French bulldog. Her name is Poda. And so Humphrey and Poda are the ones that, they're content creators. And so, and so that's kind of top of funnel, is we get a lot of, platform traffic because their videos do very well. Some of them get millions of views. And so that's kind of a very, very top line traffic. And then from then on, we drive traffic to the website and then get their emails and all that. So.
Okay, pretty interesting. I better ask, what platforms is a good place to check this out, and what are the handles?
Oh yeah, so on Instagram it's spotted Humphrey, so Spotted, and then Humphrey, and then same handle on TikTok.
All right, love it. So check it out. Anything else to say about that one, or anything else you want to share that you learned that other people should try?
Yeah, well, so what's funny is so Humphrey is a content creator and works with obviously with my wife as well, but it's like our revenue is not just e-commerce, so we do brand partnerships as well, and so it's kind of like a blend of it.
Okay.
A revenue is a blended revenue, and so you can get pretty creative with revenue as a creator. And so if there's anyone that out there that has following, then yeah, there you go.
Love these. Huh. Can you talk about what some of those partnerships look like, or how you monetize those?
Yeah, I mean, we work with an agency, and they'll bring in
Uh-huh.
a lot of deals for us, and so most of them are
I
uh,
see.
involve reels, and also yeah, like that. Yeah, exactly. So we partner up with
Okay.
this company here.
So you're really familiar on both sides in terms of influencer affiliate. You guys are an affiliate, or your dog is, right?
Yeah, exactly. So we're pretty familiar with kind of the entire stack of I guess it's kind of like online businesses.
Uh-huh. All right. I love it. The last one that I got to ask you about, GrowthJet, looks like
Yeah.
growth.jet, right? Excuse me, growthjet.com.
Yeah.
This is a 3PL. Tell us about this one.
Yeah, so this one came out of our own problems with fulfillment, and we had products that were literally shipped out with empty boxes. And so what I found out later on was like the 3PL that we're working with, they had shipped out they had pocketed the items. So these are like pocket knives, right? So they're like $600 pocket knives. They had pocketed the items and
Sure.
then shipped out an empty box to my customers. So the way I found out about it was a customer would email us being like, "Hey, is this a joke? Why did you ship out an empty box to me?" And so that's how I found out about it. And so this was, I thought, an opportunity, because 3PL and fulfillment was a pain point for a lot of e-commerce store owners. So we brought everything in house, and then we also realized that waste was a big part of the fulfillment operations, and so we decided to go climate neutral certified on GrowthJet, which is actually we're the very first company to do this, very first 3PL to do this, and so that's a big value for us for GrowthJet. And so we've just moved into a 39,000 square foot warehouse in Northern California. And so we are rolling on all fronts on that as well.
I want to ask you more about this on the theft. Kind of what did you do from that point? Like that's really a strange one to me, but maybe that's more common than I realized.
Yeah, no. So I found out about that because the order that was shipped for that customer, I timestamped it to a specific, shift that this company had with this employee, and that was that employee's last day of working at that company. And so we kind of put all the pieces together, and it was just it was a kind of a shock to me, but we had to move on, and essentially that was the final nail in the coffin, where all right, we're gonna bring this in house now. We can't trust the 3PL. So
Did the 3PL offer to we cover the cost of this or anything?
no, not really.
That's totally insane to me. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So there's that piece. And then the green piece is fascinating. Maybe talk a bit about that of, what's entailed to provide this sort of green 3PL service. And, if for any brands that are listening to be interested in that, this could be a great, marketing feather in their cap. Why should they consider it?
Yeah, so it is a lot of work. So we partner up with this company called climateneutral.org. So they're a nonprofit, and it's a relatively new company, but they're getting a lot of momentum and traction. And they have some really big brands on board, like REI is one of them. And so they have really gained a lot of momentum, and they're very unbiased. So a lot of these like other carbon neutral certification type programs have some kind of like organization attached to it that has some kind of agenda. But this one is very neutral. They're very rigorous. You have to measure your essential carbon, right? You have to measure that, and then you have to go to their marketplace and go look at all the approved marketplace places where you can buy the carbon offsets, and then purchase the offsets, and then prove that you did it. And so it's a very like elaborate process, but I feel like that was the right decision for for the brand, but also just in terms of what's good for the planet. I feel pretty good about that. So
Yeah, that's wonderful. And so is it carbon offsets for the sort of freight and things like that? Does the packaging come into it?
so it's everything that you spend money on and what you own. So for example, um, yes. So if we buy packaging for our partners, then that would be counted as part of the offset. So they do it based off of the expenses. And so, for example, if you're like a manufacturer and you have to buy raw materials, like that purchase, there's a carbon footprint component to that, and that you have to offset later on. So it's all based off of the expenses.
Yeah, pretty fascinating. And I imagine there's probably some additional costs. So I think people should be playing that up for the marketing, of this is the right thing to do, like you said, and this is green shipping and everything like that. So
Yeah.
really definitely play that up if you're gonna do it and check it out. What should people be ready for in terms of additional costs? Is there a percentage or anything like that to be ready for?
You mean in terms of if they wanted to like work with us or something?
Let's say they're a standard 3PL now, they're interested in this piece. And maybe that's a case by case basis, but I'm just sort of curious of, hey, what would it cost to do this?
Yeah. So if you have a 3PL and you're trying to essentially become climate neutral certified, then you would just work with the climate neutral organization to get that certification. And it's you just have to do the measurement piece, which can be tedious, but it's an important part of it because you have to know where how much you're supposed to offset. So for those who are interested, definitely check out. I think it's climateneutral.org, and then you can get the certification.
Sure. But in terms of GrowthJet, who's that a good fit for? Who should reach out to you there?
Oh, any brand that's growing. So about 1,000 to 1,500 orders a month is kind of what we are looking at in terms of who we bring on now. But yeah, if you have a value aligned brand, so if you are a sustainable brand and you're more than just the product itself, like you're not selling just the product, but you're also selling the brand and the values and all that stuff, then I think it's a great fit. And if you're having issues with fulfillment, obviously, if you don't, then keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to add that climate neutral aspect to your branding and also work with someone that's that will really like, we pride ourselves on like making sure each one of our partners is really well taken care of. And so we don't have any issues where they can't reach someone at the 3PL, which is a very common occurrence. Like that's why I also started. I can't call them. The voicemail box is full. And so literally I can't reach anybody to change up an order or anything. So if you're having issues, then definitely hit me up and I'd be happy to, guide you through everything.
I want to ask you also about, bootstrapping the businesses and bootstrapping your way to 8 figures. Is there anything you can say about that? A lot of people obviously take funding to do what you do. You've done it without, what are the lessons learned been and how did you do that?
Yeah, I think that the funding is a little overrated. I personally believe that you don't need funding unless you're doing something that requires a lot of R&D. So in my opinion, there's a lot of creative ways to find funding. Like, for example, for any consumer-facing brand, like you can do a pre-order, you can do a Kickstarter, you can find demand for your product and test it before you do a big run. So there's no reason you should take on funding to buy a ton of inventory without proving out a market yet. And so, honestly, like for e-commerce brands specifically, I really do think that bootstrapping is the way to go because it's really hard you're not doing anything too crazy unless you're an e-commerce brand that's like you're like developing some kind of special like device where that device is going to like help you, I don't know, like cure some disease. Like that is obviously a lot of R&D and that might require funding. But if you're not doing that, then I really don't think you need the funding.
Yeah. Tell us a bit about your podcast, and also, where can people find you?
Yeah, so my podcast is called First Class Founders. And so you can just search that on your podcast player. It should pop up. Or if you can just go to firstclassfounders.com. That's where you can find all the episodes. And that's a place for me to just share my lessons learned and essentially help out any entrepreneur who is also looking to learn and grow and build their business. And you can also find me on Twitter at Yong-Soo Chung, YONGSOOCHUNG. If you have an e-commerce shop and you're looking for some more fulfillment help, then or anything, just hit me up on Twitter. I'm pretty active over there. So
Love it. Yong-Soo, thank you so much for coming on and sharing what's working in e-commerce.
thanks, Eagan. I really appreciate having me on your show.